I'm Narelle Todd.
And I'm Essie Susan Smith.
We are the self-publishing author and marketing duo that has sold over 2 million books. But we didn't start out knowing how to sell books. Fast forward past many failed promotions and a lot of lessons learned, you will see how we went from self-publishing newbies to hitting the New York Times bestsellers list and making the USA Today bestsellers list 19 times and counting. We created the Get My Book Out There podcast to give you simple yet effective marketing strategies to increase readership and book sales, so you know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, as well as some tips for staying mentally and physically well.
Let's get started.
And we're talking today about working on the road. So how do you do your job? How do you ride? How do you do all the things that you need to do while you're on the road? It could be on vacation, on holiday, or just driving around, really.
Well, it could be going to conventions. So this is one of the things that I've had to learn how to do since I became a full-time writer, is we spend a lot of time traveling. You have to realize that all that traveling sounds really glamorous, and it can be, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done while you're on the road. So it can be a huge anxiety, stress, blood pressure raiser if you're not careful. So we're going to give you some tips on how to deal with it.
Absolutely. So what's our first one?
Well, our first one is learning how to work while you are on the road. And this can be a challenge because you may be spending a lot of time in the car or a lot of time at an airport. For me, it's been a combination of both, more in the car or in an RV. We actually purchased an RV when I had my first convention out west because I knew it was going to cost a fortune just to ship all of the stuff out there. So I was really surprised when my husband actually said yes, and he was willing to do the driving. But that meant days on the road. And so I didn't want to lose that time while I was trying to work. And I basically created a mobile office so that I could write while I was on the road. And part of that was understanding that I used an iPad. I write a tremendous amount of my stories on an iPad, which is easy to have in your lap. And fortunately, I can do a lot of my typing while I'm not just looking down, so I don't get car sick. But I would take advantage of, if we did stop breakfast, where I would actually, instead of stopping at a restaurant, sometimes we would stop at restaurants, but a lot of times we would just pull over at rest areas and I would make sandwiches. And, we would get to sit outside in rest areas. A lot of them, especially out west, are in very scenic areas. So it was nice to be able to sit outside, eat a sandwich, and I would actually do some more work while I was there, answer emails, and keep up with the things that were going on and be able to run my business. But I could never have done it without connectivity. To be connected meant I had AT&T, which works okay in some places, and other places has absolutely no signal, and Verizon, which has a much better signal in most of the places, especially out west. And so I discovered these incredible things called, let me see if I can pull one up for you, see if I can bring it, MiFis. And these are portable hotspots. And yes, many people can turn their phone into a hotspot. These are an additional one. And what's really great is if you're traveling overseas, you can actually rent the hotspots like these so that you can have unlimited data, wireless connection anywhere that you go. And we actually use that when we were doing our trip in England, Ireland, and Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was able to rent one of these. And so, our phones, we were able to make Wi-Fi calling, so we could do international calling using the Wi-Fi and no extra charge. And then we had connectivity, and we were able to do our work while we were on the road. So, what are you travel a lot as well, Narelle, or you did before the pandemic? Now you're kind of like isolated, but still, what are some of the tips that you use to help keep you connected while you're on the road?
Yeah, I travel a lot internationally. So for me, it's understanding the internet in whatever country I'm going to. And just making sure that you're always connected. I don't like to use the free Wi-Fi that's around, just security wise. So you just need to do your research and make sure that you can get online, because that is the bread and butter of what we do. You need to be able to be online. So it's planning ahead then, and just knowing, this is what I can do offline, this is what I can do online. So, and I think having the right apps, we should do a show on apps. I think that would be really good. Yes. Having the right apps. So true story. I was visiting Susan in Florida, and she was like, "Oh, let's go kayaking on this crystal clear creek." Oh, that sounds good. Rightio, let's do that. Full of alligators, and from an Australian point of view, we don't go anywhere near our saltwater crocodiles, and here I was in this river full of alligators, and I was just like, "Oh,
nice."
Anyway.
Big 9-footer goes down underneath her kayak, and she's like watching it as it swims underneath her.
I was like, yeah, she said it would be fun. But while we were out on the water, we were connected obviously to the internet while we were there, and I got a ping saying that the website, Susan's website, was getting hacked. So we pulled up on the side of the creek, and here I was doing what I needed to do to make sure that the website stayed safe and secure. And it was just so incongruous, where took the day off work.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, surrounded by alligators. Absolutely stunning where we were. And it just meant that for 10 minutes or so, I think it took, I had the right apps, I had internet connection, and I could stop, the website hack from happening. So when you've done your proper planning, the sorts of things you need to do, you can be prepared for those sorts of things that just pop up, out of the blue. You have to deal with them there and then. That was an emergency. I wouldn't normally suggest doing work while you're kayaking, because the whole purpose of that was to have a good day out. But sometimes, life happens and you have to respond there and then. So yeah, there I was on my phone fixing a website hack, surrounded by alligators. We all survived, the website, me, and the alligators. But yes, I'm only doing that one time.
But it shows you that you can be, basically, with being an author, you can be just about anywhere in the world. And as long as you have that connection, you can have your business still going, or be able to take care of the unexpected things that do pop up. So, and tip number 2 is to take advantage of the distractions while you're on the road. And this has really helped me, because as we've gone, we're driving from Florida to Denver to a convention. Of course, you're going to take the more scenic routes. And one of the things we like to do is we like to stop at, the really nice rest areas and state parks and national parks and national monuments. Or you'll see something, just really cool. You'll go through this little town that may be this one stop sign, but you go through it. And what happens is it triggers all of these creative juices. And that was one of the things when we were going through Arizona and New Mexico, and I'm looking at all of these washouts and the beauty of the desert. And it was just this magic that seemed to come about. And that's where I got the idea for Magic New Mexico. And so many of my stories have been where we have gone to places. We were at Fort Davis in Texas, and at the McDonald Observatory. That's where I got the idea. We were at a star party, and I'm looking up, and the most brilliant meteorite that I've ever seen flashed in the sky. We're at 6,000 feet, pure dark sky, stars all the way down to the horizon. And, they have these telescopes out, and we had just heard about some new exoplanets that had been discovered. And all of this came together, and that's where my Project Lisi series came up. And we were staying outside of Flagstaff, and we'd gone to Meteor Crater, and it was just like, oh my God, here's another series, and these stories just started building and flooding me. And so take advantage of while you're on travel to meet people that are going to be really cool characters, or see something that really needs to be put into your story. Tina's story, she has a chicken named Ruby. And true story, we're sitting in, we had stopped for the night at this little RV park, and I'm sitting there and I'm writing Viper story, and I look up and there's this chicken walking across right in front of us. And I'm like, oh, I got to put that in the story. And that's where Ruby came from. So take advantage of those distractions, put them into your story, put them into a notebook, make notes about it, who they were, what they were doing, anything that will help you with your creative writing.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So in a way, they're not distractions. It's really just
research.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And even with you, I know, like, it doesn't matter what business you're in. With you, you've been able to connect with people. And as you've gone to different places, I know that you've picked up ideas to help you with your business.
Oh, for sure. I think I love watching people for a start. So there's that aspect, and just seeing how people do the same thing, but they do it in a different way. And yes, that's how I approach marketing as well, is, well, how can we do this in a different way? It's say the same tactic, but what's a different way to do that? And traveling certainly does that for you. It just opens your mind, expands your mind out. But it also, I think just the opportunity to see different things and how people do things differently, or you'll pass a billboard and you'll go, oh, that's
a storefront, anything.
Yes. So definitely, I think just being open, and it's amazing just the creative energy that can come just from seeing things, and a passing comment or a passing billboard sign that's got nothing to do with books or anything like that, and that will spark an idea. So it's, I think when you're traveling, being open and just, what are the people, what are the things you're going to see, what are the messages you're going to receive, and make a note. Definitely write it down when you see it and you think of it.
And this comes to our third tip, which goes into making sure that you write it down, and that is organize your trip so that you can have not only your work but a life along with it. And by having that combination of the two, I don't think we can stress enough about having that balance, because you're getting to experience something that is going to reflect back into your work, but you're getting to experience something that, a lot of people only dream of. And so as you're living this life, you can actually put it into your stories, and people who don't have a chance can live vicariously through you. So when you organize your trips, don't just plan to go from, like with us, we didn't just plan on going from Florida to Denver. We went a few days early, and we always go either a few days early and stay a few days late so that we can explore the area, go to the local restaurants, check out the local stores, see what, the parks are like or the museums are like. One of our favorite things is going to planetariums. So when we were in Spokane, we went to the Clark Planetarium there in downtown Spokane, and we walked along the Spokane River, and it was neat because my sister, when I sent her a picture of it, she says very bottom of that somewhere is a baby doll that I lost when I was 4 years old. It fell over while we were there, and we were in that same park that you were at. So it's really, really cool that when you do things like that, you end up finding out pieces that it's a small world after all. So enjoy it, and then put it into your writing. Don't be afraid to.
One of the things I struggled with when out on my own business was being able to balance work and then say when you go take a holiday and actually turn it off. Sometimes you can't, like, I think we all need downtime, definitely. But there are some times where you just can't do that. When you're the CEO of your business.
Yes.
It's not always possible to do that. I just remember, one year just going, why do I even fight this? Why not just merge it together and just say this is how things are? So one of the things that I do when I plan trips is plan in an extra day that's actually a work day.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that I spend that day working, but what it does is, as much as possible, I try not to work, while we're on the trip part, the enjoyment part. But let's say that you have to do an hour each day of work or something like that. By putting in an extra day, it kind of adds up. All those hours add up to one day. By putting an extra day into the trip, it's almost like a way of saying to me, it's okay. Here's a work day. You might have already done the day set aside for work. You might have done that in, say, the lead up to that day, but that's okay, because then, the work day is a fun day. Or you may not work in the days leading up to your work day, and then you just work on that one day and you just knuckle down, and it's very much time blocked, and you just get into the work. So that day becomes a pure work day, and all the other days are a pure holiday day, whatever works for you. But what I found is, by putting that day in, it gives you permission, may not be the right word, but it gives you permission to say, well, I can't leave work at home. That's just not possible, because I'm the boss. There are some things I have to do. But what it does is gives you the freedom to enjoy your trip, gives you the freedom to also get the work done that you need to do. And it's almost like it calms both sides of you, the need that you need to do some work, the need that you want to have a break and a holiday, and it just calms it right down.
Well, the guilt feeling.
Yes, absolutely.
The guilt that you're actually giving yourself time to have fun, and it is that balance, because it's difficult when you're enjoying what you're doing for work and it doesn't feel like work, but it is. So you have to kind of like pull them apart, even though it's like, but I really enjoy doing that. Yes, I know you do, but you really need to disconnect still. So it's giving yourself that permission to say, I've got that balance.
And it's also good for, say, the family or the group that you're traveling with, to have a down day. I actually find it makes a trip way better, because everybody gets the chance to either disappear from each other or just get some time out, go do whatever that they need to do. And sometimes you just need a break from sightseeing too. So that day tends to work for everybody for all sorts of different reasons. A good example is the trip that we did in 2019 when we went to Iceland and we drove around, the country. I put in a day. I think because we'd been to a few other places before. We went to Ireland, and then you had a book signing in England. And then we went across to Iceland for 10 days or a week or something.
10 days.
I think about day 7 or 8, I had planned in a day off, and it just so happened, and Iceland is just so stunning that it was just like, I'm not working, and it just has to be, kind of store up as much as I can, maybe do some work at night, but then, wait for that day off. And then it was going to be the big work day. And of course, it was just so well planned, of course, because, I have that power with Mother Nature, that on that day was like the big snowstorm and we were snowed in.
Yes.
Where we were anyway. So it worked out well. For us, it worked out well because it was a good day to get to work, because, we couldn't go anywhere. And for other people with us, it was a good chance, just to take a break and just have a bit of a breather. So, I find that putting that day into a trip works for everybody in the group. And also, you get to do the work, because sometimes you can't. It's not actually possible to totally leave work behind.
No.
And that's been a big lesson for me, about that it's okay that you can't totally leave work behind. You just merge it. It's it just
and you say, this is the way it's going to be, and and it just takes that anxiety level so much further down.
It does.
So those are our 3 tips, and it makes everybody want to get on the road or go do something, at least try something. Take a day off. Even if that's all you do, is just say, I'm going to take a day off in my backyard and do nothing but work on the garden. And you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. And then you could come in and in 10 minutes, you'll get done a little bit of work, and yet you'll feel like you've accomplished so much more.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't forget that, working on the road is possible. You just need to find that balance and give yourself permission to say it's okay to do some work while you're having fun.
Particularly, yes, when work is fun anyway, and you combine life on the road
two.
fun, it's just all fun. So it's good. That's how I
So-
see it anyway.
We hope everybody enjoyed this week, and keep riding.
Absolutely. Hope this was helpful, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. You know we've got way more information we want to share with you to increase your book sales. So please come and join me at facebook.com. Get my book out there.